guys! I haven't done a live video at all this week. I thought that I would just jump on. I kind of got inspired by one of the questions in the group. Jackie, you had a question and I kind of felt like it would be easier for me to kind of just make a quick clip because I think a lot of people have a similar question about cardio and their goals. So for fat loss, here's something that's a little bit of a misconception. So a lot of people say like, I don't want to lose any weight, but I just want to lose body fat. So I don't want to lose any actual scale weight. I just want to lose body fat. So I'm wondering what cardio will be the best cardio for me to lose body fat, but not change my scale weight because I'm happy with my scale weight at the time. I have a few clients that are in this boat. Their BMI is actually really low. And they don't want to lose any scale weight. They don't want to be any thinner, but they feel like they want to change their body composition and they want to lose a little bit of body fat. So to do that, the thing is you'll still have to create a deficit. There's a chance that through training alone in the situation that I'm describing, that you could have extra calories, you could actually be fed more. That was more of the situation that I had for my very first competition. I was really skinny. Right now, my walk around weight is roughly like 135 probably is more. I would say like that's more my set point. When I first started training, I never really got above 115 pounds. Before my first show, I'm 5'6". I try and give you guys kind of numbers so you can sort of, I don't want you to ever compare your numbers to my numbers, but I just want to give you an idea so that you can see kind of my journey. Because most people would be like, I'm up 20 pounds, help me, like what do I do? But all in all, for me to have the shape that I wanted, for me to have a lower body that was, in my opinion, more of what my goal look was, to have glutes, and I wanted to have a little bit more muscle on me. I wanted to have more curves. I'm a female that enjoys having a little bit of muscle and size. Sometimes my walk around look from competing isn't exactly what is my ideal because I like being really lean. But I also have to remember that being super lean for women isn't always the most healthy, and it did have some effects on my hormones and such after a while, and being that low calorie for so long, certain things started to sort of cease, like my hair kind of started falling out, different things were happening with my menstrual cycle, things like that. Now, some people can diet and eat low calorie forever and not notice any changes, but like I said, you kind of have to see where your body's at. You have to take into consideration how long you've been dieting. You have to take into consideration your lean body mass and how much food you're eating to sustain that lean body mass. You don't want to be eating like nothing over a long period of time. If you are dieting for a really long period of time, you really want to get your micros in. So wrapping back around, so when I was I think I was about 112, 113 pounds when I first met Eric and decided that I was going to start training for my first competition. We kind of used the strategy of feeding me really high quality foods, like high quality proteins, carbs, and fats. I was on more of like a meal plan at that time because not as much was known about flexible dieting that we do know now. So my diet consists of, it was pretty regular, like I just had a basic exchange sheet, but we did the strategy of feeding me. I stayed above 1,500 calories, and usually you can kind of go on a guideline that the lowest part of dieting, you kind of do body weight times 10. These formulas, guys, I just want you to know, they're generic. So obviously that's why I do what I do with one-on-one coaching, because if everyone fell into these formulas, then you wouldn't need people to help you figure it out besides the accountability fact. But, so I stayed well above the body weight times 10. And we did a lot of training to sort of put my body into a body recomp. So what you could do if you didn't want to lose any scale weight, like myself, I wanted to build muscle and decrease my body fat. As a beginner, that's more likely for that to happen. So if you're trying to do that and you don't want to lose scale weight, I would suggest shooting on the higher end of the dieting scale. Maybe do body weight times 13, 14, and I would do cardio and weight training activities that will build muscle mass Then as you build muscle mass, you will be burning more resting, and you will then decrease your body fat without losing very much scale weight. Otherwise, your other option is to put yourself in a caloric deficit so that your body will shed body fat. And even though you can't spot treat, basically it's kind of, as females, it's sort of how you lean out is usually like this, and then you meet kind of at your midsection. Your upper body will have a tendency to lean out faster, and then your lower body will follow, but so it might be a little faster this way down to your midsection, and a little bit slower going from like your feet up to your midsection. But that's basically the general trend of how you will like lean out as a female. So I hope that kind of helps, because I was where you were in the question, Jackie, and I really appreciate that question. I think people do have that. I didn't want to get any smaller. I definitely didn't want to walk around at under 100 pounds. And so for my first competition, I actually gained weight. So I started at like 112 to 115. I can't remember exactly because I wasn't nearly as skill obsessed as I am now. And then I ended up on stage at about 125, and it was over a 6-month period. So gaining muscle for females as a beginner, you will be the most likely to be able to gain muscle, and then it just gets slower and slower from there. So if you have been lifting for a great deal of time, you're probably only going to gain a couple pounds of muscle in a full calendar year if you're an experienced lifter. So it takes time, but you can usually shed body fat faster, and as females versus males, you have less of a tendency to lose lean body mass as you diet, whereas males have a higher tendency to use proteins as fuel and lose more lean body mass. So I hope that sort of answers your question. When it comes to cardio, how to select the cardio for you, there's a couple things that I like to think about. I used to only do like the highest intensity possible HIIT cardio, just kind of like really, hammer at home, and sometimes that can leave people extremely drained for the rest of their day's activities. It didn't matter as much whenever I would do cardio like that when I wasn't a mom, but I need to make sure that I'm not so like completely zapped that I can't finish everything in my day. So that's something to think about, like how drained are you after your cardio session? Do you need to pull it back so that you can gradually increase your fitness level so that the rest of your daily activities don't suffer? And when those daily activities suffer, your NEAT, the exercise, what you burn not exercising usually goes down, and you don't really want to make that trade, because then you're just where you started. You just killed yourself for 1 hour of cardio, and then you laid on the couch all day long and you lost a lot of your NEAT, like what you would have burnt anyways, and then you're back, sorry guys, there's a little bug, and then you're back where you started. So that's something to think about. And then you want to think about how much time do you have. I like to take long walks on like the treadmill at an incline, but say I have to lift weights and I have a packed schedule and I have like posings, I have check-ins, I have a bunch of stuff to do, school's gonna start for me pretty soon. Like I'm not gonna have time to spend, an hour and a half on an incline walk on the treadmill. Well, that's why I got a treadmill desk, but you have to think about your time constraints. And then after all of that's said and done, the number one factor that'll determine how much cardio you need is your metabolic rate. So if you're barely eating anything and the scale's not changing, then you're gonna have to utilize cardio more. You're not gonna be able to just use your diet to get you there. And I know that it's really hard to think about adding calories in so that you can diet more effectively and keep your fat loss more permanently. But sometimes that's what you have to do. Like I just was watching this whole webinar on fat loss for females, and let me tell you guys, like planning it out, like I can't tell you how valuable that is, and just kind of really using a strategy of increasing your intake and then slowly decreasing and getting it off, and that way it'll be more maintainable. You can sustain that. And your hormones and everything, the female's body is just so much more complex when it comes to thyroid health and your reproductive system and things like that than a man's body. Men can diet much more aggressively with very little side effects, whereas women, we can't do that. And that's why you guys will see a lot of competitors I do bikinis, so I've never gotten to a ridiculous place of leanness, but I've been very lean. And it's come with, some consequences. And for females, those kind of things can, the consequences are a lot. Like when you mess with your hormones, your bone mineral density, things like that. it can put you in a really bad place. So with that being said, you want to have a strategy in place, and you want to know what you're doing, and you want to treat your body right, because the backlash that your body can kind of dish out on you is not to be reckoned with. So we can't trick Mother Nature, and that's just something to think about when you're trying to set up your cardio. Like, where are you at with what you're eating right now? And I would probably try and take what your goal lean body mass percent. Like if you want to get down to maybe 20% body fat, or if you want to get even leaner and get below that, that would be pretty lean for a female just to walk around at that. I basically walk around at about 20 to, I think the last DEXA scan I had was 22%. On stage, I'm probably around like 12 to 14% or something like that. That would be kind of a good estimate. Essential fat on women is 10%. That's like what you would want to have on your body for like some of the essential functions that it needs. So with that being said, you want to have a strategy in place. You want to know how to get to where you want to get without, hurting any of your body's natural processes as much as you can. And that way you can enjoy your everyday look without feeling like you're putting yourself through the ringer, or you're sacrificing your health, because you never ever want to sacrifice your health for leanness. So I hope that this video helps you guys kind of set up and learn a little bit about fat loss. And if you're somebody who likes your look and doesn't want to technically lose any weight on the scale, but you want to do a body recomp, these are some ways to do that. You could do a basic body recomp, like I said, by just keeping your calories in a range that would be close to maintenance and changing your training protocol. If you want to lose body fat as a female and you want to use cardio, that's how I would structure it. And if you have any questions, you guys know you can always ask me, and I'm happy to answer. But without getting too long-winded, I will leave it at that, and you guys can leave some comments below. Thanks for popping in and saying hi. Bye, guys.